Hi everyone, Catherine here from Inky Fingered Cat. I am back with Christmas in July day 21. Colour combo today, purple, green and gold, because that is the colours on my main tree in the lounge. That's the colours I go for that tree, and therefore that's one of my colour combos. I have decided to use some moustache. So I did talk about this way back. I had treated myself to some new dies. They hadn't arrived last time I did a craft haul because they were being sent from a different place or something. So when I got the Diamond Press Grand Marquise, these were being sent at the same time but from somewhere different. So I hadn't got them when I shared that. So we have 3 sets of the Sue Wilson craft dies from Creative Expressions. And you can see there. And I thought, given my colour scheme is my tree colour scheme, let's go with baubles. And I have grabbed out speciality papers. I've pulled out some scraps of some more foiled cardstock as well. I'm going to use this rose gold, I think, as the little toppers for the baubles. I've also pulled out this angel hair paper kind of stuff that I've had for years and years, and I thought I might use that. I don't know what the card's going to look like, haven't got that far with my thinking, but for those who do not know, Christmas in July is where I make a Christmas project every day on a video for the whole of July. It's quite an undertaking. Yeah. I love Christmas making, any kind of Christmas cards, projects, etc. So it's good fun for me, even though it is a bit of a challenge doing this alongside a full-time job. Why do I do this to myself? At least this year I didn't do iCAD at the same time, which I have done previously. That was a mammoth undertaking. Right, I'm going to get cracking on. But first of all, I'm just going to say, please subscribe if you want to see more videos, especially obviously this month, but also all the other videos I make. I do card making and scrapbooking all year round. But that's been 2.5 minutes of me blathering on, so it's time for me to crack on and get cracking. So it's always a bit of a risk using brand new products for a video. You've not even tried them out, tested them out or anything. And I was really, at this point, I had no idea what I was doing apart from let's just die cut stuff. So first of all, I have to say I hate the packaging. I hate the packaging of these dies. So I am going to have to do something about that. I just hate those very hard plastic shell type covers. They're just rubbish. They probably look great on shelves in a shop, but they're not good for long term. Right, now I've whinged. What am I doing? So I decided to take the large one from each of the dies sets and die cut the outline. So the way that the dies work is the separate dies, those big ones. You've got an outline that goes all the way around the outside, and then you've got the bit that cuts in the middle. So I decided to cut all of them, first of all, with the middle bit in. I decided to cut the mini ones on the purple foiled cardstock scraps. I don't end up using those, spoiler alert. I then also, at the same time, was die cutting the little hangers from the rose gold. I wish I'd had some gold cardstock. I don't know why I've not got any gold foiled cardstock in my stash, but I wish I'd had proper gold rather than the rose gold with hindsight. So I've die cut all of these. I'm keeping all of the tiny little bits and pieces at this point because I wasn't entirely sure whether I was going to need them or not, not having looked at really what the dies look like in any detail. And I'm just going to pokey tool the bits and pieces out of each of the die cuts and pop them then into my little tray so that I'm keeping them nice and secure. As I'm doing this, I realise that what I'm probably going to need to do is die cut the solid shape of the die too for the larger dies. So as I'm weeding out these dies here, when I get to the bigger ones, I do end up separating the two dies from each other. Now you may have noticed that that first of the tiny dies, the ones that I've got the little intricate ones that I've done from the purple, unfortunately, I did tear it as I was pulling it out. So I don't end up keeping that one. As it is, as I said earlier, I don't end up using the purple die cut baubles at all. I just have got those left ready for another project at some point. Probably a future Festive Friday or something. So I'm going to keep those to one side, but you can see there I'm separating out the solid dies to the left because I'm going to recut some solids out, and then I'm putting the little pile of the dies off to the right, just so that I'm keeping tidy. I'm also making sure I've gone through all of those tiny little holes, because they're really quite intricate dies, to make sure I've weeded them out of the actual die. So now I'm going to do the opposite way of doing it. So before I did the two smaller dies I did on the foil paper. This time I'm going to do the larger die on the foil paper, and then I'm going to do the two smaller ones on the glitter paper, because I'd done the larger one on the glitter paper last time. Do you know when you start talking and you think, does that even make sense? It made sense in my head, but I'm not sure if it made sense out loud. Okay, running those through the die cut machine, and then I think that's all my die cutting done for this card. I do end up using a sentiment that's already pre-done. I'll show you that in a bit once I've worked out what I'm doing with the rest of the card, but I don't think I use the die cutting machine again. No, fairly confident I don't. But I am in a bid to keep tidy at the moment, and so I think it's because I've got so many projects to do. I've just got myself in the habit of trying to tidy up as I go along, and this is me trying to put all of the dies back on the packaging. As I say, I'll find out a different way of keeping those. For the moment, they're just on the top of the desk, so that does need to be sorted. Okay, I'm going to glue them all together. So what's happening here is you've got the background is one kind of specialty cardstock, and the top is a different kind of specialty cardstock. I'm using wet glue. It's really difficult sometimes to stick to glitter cardstock. So I'm using the weight of the acrylic block there, the large acrylic block, to just weight it down in the hope that the wet glue will glue and will actually adhere itself to each other. It does work, but it's fiddly. And then I'm going to add on those rose gold little toppers that are there for the hanging. You see there I had to pull the bauble apart again in order to stick it on. And I have just stuck it over to the left underneath a different acrylic block. I'm just going to stick the little lids on these the little hangers on these particular tiny little purple ones that I've got left. I'm checking back on the packaging to see which hanger goes with which bauble, because I wasn't entirely sure. So that's those two done. And now I'm going to work out, how am I going to make my card now? So I've already started to work out I'm probably not using those purple ones, so I definitely need purple as my card base in some way. So I decided to make a double layered panel with a piece of the angel hair in between that would just peek out of the sides. I do end up with it being the same size as the as the background panel, which is, now I've got to remember, 9.5 by 13.9 centimetres. For some reason, when working with card bases, I just quite often end up going to centimetres for the ones that are C6 sized. And then I did trim a little bit more off that smaller panel so that it was a full centimetre smaller than the outside, the very background panel, just because I wanted more of that angel hair to show. And then I took my elegant eggplant, which is an old Stampin' Up ink, and I have just darkened the edges of that card just to give it a little bit of depth and a little bit of interest. And now I am going to stick my little pieces down. I say little pieces, the two of the dies. I decided that I wanted to have them have a little bit of a hanger so that they weren't just floating, so they were actually hanging. And the largest one I stuck down with glue. And the other one I used some foam adhesive just where it was going to overlap, hang off the other bauble. I did use some wet glue in order to just stick that down. The angel hair I had glued where it was in the centre point, so that wouldn't show through because I would have the this panel over the top of it. And I'm just popping those pieces of twine down with a bit of sticky tape just to keep them from flinging up. And then I'm adding loads and loads of the foam adhesive to the back of that so that it is a raised panel. So there's quite a lot of dimension to this card. So yeah, these sentiments are ones that I got a while ago from, I'm going to say they are Spellbinder sentiment, and it's one where you kind of cut them out all in one go. You foil them and then cut them out all in one go. And I had a good old die cutting and foiling session pre-Christmas in July prep, just to work through my scraps, but also to just make sure I'd got some sentiments ready to hand. So that's what those are. And I decided on a very vanilla card base. Rather than white, I just thought it worked better with the gold. Rather than having the white, it felt a bit softer. I really need to get some more ATG in my ATG gun because it's currently without tape. So I am, however, using little bits and pieces of double-sided tape. I was quite generous with the amount that I put in there just because I really didn't want it to fall off with it being quite a heavy front. There's quite a lot of cardstock weight there. Inside, just a strip of the purple cardstock that had been cut off, and then the remaining bauble. I just added that in. Now, I really wanted some kind of additional shine and shimmer, even though it's quite a shiny card with the glitter cardstock and the foiled cardstock. And so I just went with, let's just add some sequins in the gold from a sequin mix that you've seen probably quite a few times so far in the Christmas in July series, just because it's been on my desk. So funnily enough, I keep using it. It's a Hey Little Magpie sequin mix. And here you go, a close-up. So there is that bit of sort of like purpley pink on that sentiment, but I think it's still very purpley themed. So I think it works with my colour scheme of the green, purple and gold. Hope you've enjoyed this. Please do subscribe if you want to see more. Until next time though, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. And until next time, bye-bye.